Hello, Steve White, Steve RC9. We've got another Superman video because there's a slight adjustment to the box office that I wanted to acknowledge so no one accuses me of being a Snyder bro, trying to downplay the money. Basically, when they did the final maths and got the actual, numbers in, James Gunn's Superman did 125 million domestically, not 122, like it was originally estimated or reported. Because usually when they get the headlines out on the Monday, Sunday is still sort of an estimate. So they don't have all the numbers in at that point, but they're usually pretty accurate, so it's not a problem, but sometimes they're off. So yes, so the overall box office for the world was 220, so it was 95 international, which is a bit low, and 125, so it's 220. So I want to acknowledge that, but also I wanted to point out that regardless of if you like the film or love the film or whatever, the reality is numbers don't lie, facts are facts. This film has failed in its objective. The objective was to relaunch DC and to do better than the old DC did, and it hasn't. They've made less money than Man of Steel's opening was 128 million. This is 125. So you don't have to add inflation for it to be less. And when you add inflation, it makes a huge difference. And that's because the reality is less people showed up. And those are the numbers I'm talking about. They made less money and less people showed up. Less people saw James Gunn's Superman than saw the Snyder version. And that's just reality. Reality is they didn't get everyone back and they didn't get new people. The whole point of this rebooting was just throw out the Snyderverse and create a new universe, the Gunnerverse, whatever they're calling it. And supposedly that'll be better and more people watch it because at the end of the day, the studio was like, we've got superheroes. Why aren't they making as much money as the Marvel ones? Make this like Marvel. So Marvel and DC are different, and the universes were different, and the Marvel films were successful because they appealed more to the uneducated, unsophisticated masses who think superheroes are a joke and they just want to laugh at them. Marvel appealed more to them. Things like, Love and Thunder and that was just catering to them. And DC was always different and it didn't appeal as much. So they weren't as successful, but you can't change your brand to chase money because in the end you just end up with nothing because the fans aren't happy because they're not getting the universe as it's supposed to be. And the general audience usually isn't stupid enough to fall for just changing something to cater to them, but sometimes they do. But so the objective, they failed. They got less money, less people. People didn't come back who invested in the first era, the first universe. And I think that's what it comes down to. A lot of people talk about superhero fatigue. I think it's afraid to commit. It's like people, committed to these films. They watched them. They accepted these new actors as these characters, and to just throw them out. That and the multiverse stuff, it just says there's no longevity here, there's no consistency here, there's no security here. You can watch these films and commit to these characters and take them into your heart and love them and accept them as your Superman and your Wonder Woman, and then they just throw them out at the end of the decade because they need to reboot because reasons. Because they think it would make more money to do that. Or the actors are becoming too expensive, and if they get new younger actors in on new contracts, they don't have to worry about, signing new contracts and paying them what they're worth. So basically they failed. And I think people need to just acknowledge that. And you see a lot of people coping and acting like just because they like the film better, that it is better and it's more successful because they like it. They need it to be more successful because they liked it. And I'm like, the numbers don't lie. It made less money, less people attended. The goal was to get more people. They failed. It's that simple. Now, can they build the universe up over time? Possibly if they let other people get involved. But if James Gunn keeps it his universe, it's going to fail. Because James Gunn is a one-trick pony. He just keeps remaking, Guardians of the Galaxy. Uses the same jokes. He stole the Hulk Loki joke at the end where Crypto grabs Lex and slams him around. That was shocking and funny the first time they did it in, that film, but it's not now. So, I don't know what... I don't know what's going to happen now, but they failed. So I just wanted to say that and make that clear. I want to acknowledge the new box office, but it still doesn't make any difference. It still made less and less people attended, and the objective was to make more money and get more people into the universe. And I think they've just alienated people who are like, well, you just pulled the rug out from under me and took these characters away from me, these actors away from me. I mean, the first thing James Gunn did, first day, was to cancel Wonder Woman, the third Wonder Woman film, which people were looking forward to. I wanted to see contemporary Wonder Woman in the modern day because we had her in the war and we had her in the 80s, and I wanted a contemporary one. I wanted them to finish that trilogy. They pulled it out from under her, just like they did with... If the idea was to reboot long term, I can kind of understand that because maybe each era does have its run, but to not finish the Snyderverse, to not give them their final films and the films we were promised or expecting, was just a mistake. I think they would have been better off finishing off the Snyderverse, finishing off these films, these contracts, and then maybe in 5-10 years from now, doing what they're doing now. That's not what they did. So it's not working. And I think there is no Superman fatigue. There's just,